Hello, Kim Morris with you here again, and in this video I'd just like to walk you through the process of how the procedure documentation will get created and how it actually ends up at the very end. So the process right from where you create the procedure through the review of the procedure and the approval until it actually gets up to be a real approved document that any team member could literally pick up and follow. So the very first thing that you're going to do is to enter the document details into the master document control spreadsheet. And that's where you would enter the document name, the KPI that it relates to, and who's going to be creating it, which will probably be your name. So after you've done that, the next thing you need to do is actually prepare the document. And this is when it's in its draft state, where you'll go through and follow the procedure template and drafting out all those steps involved in the procedure. And once you are happy with the draft document, then you'll need to give it to another team member to review it. And that team member will be reviewing the draft procedure against a certain set of criteria. And those criteria that they'll be reviewing it against, they'll be looking for things like the logical flow of information. They'll be looking to see whether the procedure is complete and whether it makes sense. They'll be looking to see whether or not they can actually follow it. And they'll be looking for some any grammar and spelling mistakes that come up. And they'll be looking to see whether the checklist template's been followed, and also looking to see if it has the correct versioning and date information on it. So basically, if it passes all of those criteria, then the team member will give it the big tick of approval, and it can then go on to the business owner to have that review. However, if it so happens that the team member doesn't pass the procedure, that a certain criteria hasn't been met, then you'll need to modify the document. So we can see here that if it doesn't meet the criteria, then the document goes back to you and it's back in its draft state for you to make any changes. And once you've made those second round of changes, it then goes back to that same team member who would review it against those same criteria, and assuming that it passes on the next go, down to the business owner, and they would review it. Now, the business owner may review it on the first go straight through, or they may actually want some changes made to it as well. So just depending on the business owner. So if, for example, your business owner doesn't approve it in the first instance, you'll need to take the document right back to have it modified, and it goes back to its draft state. So you will have to make whatever changes that the business owner has requested to the document. And before you give it back to the business owner, it's a really good idea to put it through that same team member again, just so they can be checking again for that logical flow, and that the changes that you've made actually make sense to them. So then it would pass through down onto the business owner again, and they would give it that final tick of approval, and then you can allocate a version number to it. So once it's been approved by the team member and your business owner has given it the final tick of approval, then it will get its version number. And all of your documents will start with a version number of 1.0. And each time that they're reviewed, that number will increase. So if you've got a procedure that's been working in your business for 6 months and something happens and you need to actually review that procedure, then the review procedure process will happen and the version number will increase to 2.0. So that's just a really good way of making sure that old documentation isn't being used in your business, and that the current version of procedures is always being used by your staff. So once the business owner has signed off that procedure as being good to go and is happy with everything that's in there, then you'll need to put that procedure up onto Google Documents, up into your Google account that you created previously. You'll need to firstly update the master control spreadsheet with the rest of the information, like who reviewed it, the date that it was reviewed, who approved it, and the version number. So you need to make sure that that master document has all those fields filled out, and then uploading your procedure document into Google Documents. And that's basically it, a nice simple process. If your document, it may go through the first time with no changes needed, or it may be a little bit of tick-tacking back and forth until you can get a document that everyone is happy to approve and happy to sign off.